let's get this party started.
All right, baby.
All right. Just a question for both of y'all. What's been your most favorite episode so far?
Gosh, I don't watch them, so I like the pilot.
Oh, the pilot? There you go.
Yeah.
I would say episode 6. Episode
six?
6 is my favorite so far.
Yeah.
I think it's a turn in the season. I think it's taking us towards the finale, which I won't talk about, but
Yeah.
I think it's moving things in the right direction.
Awesome.
And visually and all the things that are happening, I think are super exciting.
Yeah, the show has been amazing.
Thank you.
What would you say has been one of the most difficult things on set for each of you to act out or do?
Gosh, every episode was challenging in its own way, you know. The weather where we shot could be very challenging. Emotionally, it's pretty highly charged, so there was some long, exhausting emotional days, so that for me, that's the hardest stuff for me, not so much the action, though there was a considerable amount of that, you know.
Yeah.
Long hours and cold weather and
I think that with regards to shooting it in such a tight period of time, shooting 10 episodes was obviously challenging, of course, but luckily we all got along and we could work together and figure it out, which has made it 10 times easier, because if you didn't like each other, that'd be a totally different story.
Right.
And so that made it a lot of fun. Just obviously challenged to shoot 10 episodes in a limited amount of time, but still awesome.
yeah, that was challenging. Yeah, it was very challenging because we shot 5 episodes at a time.
Really?
It's the first time I've ever done that. I've done 2 episodes, but to shoot 5 hours, which you're dancing around in that 5-hour period, right? It's crazy. That's a lot of information to try to remember. Where are we in the story when we're here? You know what I mean? Back and forth like that. That was challenging.
David, this one's for you. Your character is handed an impossible task of this crazy thing happening, these people coming back to life. You're now isolated, and of course now you are the one that really has to handle this and are in charge. How does your character go about handling all of that responsibility?
Poorly. I mean, ultimately, right? He makes a lot of bad decisions, but he was coming from the right place, and there was, we didn't know right through to the end. There was information about my character that I found out, midway through. I'm like, oh, what? Are you kidding? I'm trying to keep this person human and to be coming from a place of honesty, and then I'd find out about situations or things that he had done that I thought really put him in a bad light. So I had to find a way to, internalize those, soften them, if you will, and keep him likable or understandable at the very least, So I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does.
It's funny I had one for him because I have one for you, Andy. In episode 6, there's this crazy moment that happens at the end, and you're acting what looks like against a glowing alien. And I was just curious, what the process was of actually filming that scene, because you have such an emotional, crazy look in your face, and I was sitting there watching, how are you doing this? What was that process like?
Maybe because it was cold. No, it was shivering. No, but there was nothing there. There was a grid with light. But Samir, who directed that episode, him and I are very good friends, and so I've worked with him before, and so we took a couple of runs at it and sort of played around and saw what worked and what didn't work. And luckily we had time on our side with that specific scene that we got to really sort of tease it out. And that actually what ended up in the show was the last take. So it was a complete, we just were let's just go try something different, and that's what happened. So, happy accidents, but I'm glad it made it in. Yeah.
Mike Sandoval, MUSE TV.
Hey.
First of all, this show post-pandemic has just been one of the best for me. I love the story. I love the way your characters, because you really feel for them and what they're going through. What's it like to play in that world and really develop your characters, especially after what we went through, and then with this going on and what the storyline is, and it being such an original storyline?
You know what was great about this show is we had time in the beginning, which is rare. We had almost 2 weeks at least
Yeah.
10 days we were there before we started shooting, so we got to hang. We all sat in a room together. Everybody came with questions. The writers were there, us four were there, right?
Yeah.
And we got to hang out. We got to know each other, start to develop some chemistry, it was a new world for me. I haven't done a lot of sci-fi, so
Which I think worked right off the bat, though. When we met,
Yeah.
David and I met, he got up, and I'm obviously much shorter than David, and shook my hand. He's like, "Hey, I'm David." I'm like, "Andy." I was like, "This is very indicative of our characters, too." So that kind of helped us out throughout the process. Everybody kind of like fell into, their sort of slot with their characters, and so it became a lot of fun to then play on the day when we got to work and see what came of that.
it was a nice working
Yeah.
atmosphere,
Yeah,
though. Everybody
definitely.
got along, which is
And everybody was prepared.
certainly not always the case. Yeah, everybody was. A lot
Yeah.
of everybody was very professional. Everyone showed up to play. We didn't. I mean, it goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, if you're prepared, then you take the time to work as opposed to wasting time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but there's always a million different challenges. The weather was tough, and we were all from out of town, so nobody had that any idea about where they were. I moved four times in that 4 months. I mean, it was crazy. One house I lived in had no insulation, and when the winter came, it was, oh my God, I was in there with a winter coat on, sitting in front of a fireplace, still freezing. I had all the heaters on. It was
It's like a spin-off.
Yeah, that's the spin-off.
It's the Wayne
Welcome to
spin-off.
hell.
Yeah.
little method acting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, did you draw on any of your past experience from JAG and stuff like
Certainly,
that?
yeah,
prepping for this role?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, how much did that play into like getting ready for this, being a sheriff in a small town, right?
Yeah, and being a father of two. I got two kids myself, so there was a lot that I could draw on. I loved, he was coming from the right place, but he's a gruff, hard character. He's used to things, being handled in a regimented way, and then suddenly he's thrust into the middle of this insanity and not sure how to act and making mistake after mistake. And everybody's constantly criticizing him, and he's losing his authority. And so all those things were great, fun to play, those kind of situations where things are out of your control and you're grappling to stay afloat. That's, I love that.
Yeah.
What would you say was the most emotional scene for you guys?
Now, I don't know, because I don't watch, right? When I watch, all I see are mistakes. I just go, oh, God, and it's out of my hands at that point. So I don't know at what point in the story do we know about, I don't know how much we know about what Wayne did that's wrong, because there's a very emotional, I think it's coming up. It's the most emotional thing that happens between Dana's character and mine, and something comes to light that I hope never would, and I have to,
It's a good teaser.
I have to deal with it, and it was challenging, and it was a thing that I went to the writer and I went, really, dude? Oh yeah. Oh my God. Okay, that's a challenge. How am I gonna navigate that without losing, fans? Not fans, wrong word, but likability. But anyway, there's some coming up.
Andy, you had one of the most hilariously awkward introductions.
Oh yeah.
In the show itself. How did you play that, and how did that kind of work into your dynamics?
I mean, it was just as awkward to do it as it comes out on the screen, and so it kind of helps that that had to be the thing. I mean, it's never like a normal, easy thing to that level of intimacy, and also like
Hi, how are you? Let's get down.
yeah. It's strange, but also it helps that my character is awkward, so it made it much easier. There was talks before about him not having the coat on, but I was like, this guy has to have his coat on most of the time. It's gonna make it even more awkward. So yeah, I think going into that, obviously having like Mel too, sort of like both of us coming together and being professional about it makes it a lot of fun too, because there are some improv moments at the end where all the clothes are being thrown out the window, and it's a little ad lib here and there. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to shoot.